Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Public Accounts Committee. I want to especially welcome members from the Auditor General's Department. Thank you for coming. Members of the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, the National Agricultural Marketing and Development Corporation, NAMDEVCO, the members of the media who are present, and of course, the general public, some of whom are in the public gallery, but many of whom might be looking at this particular program. My name is Boindra Dat Tiwari. I'm the chair of this committee. The purpose of this meeting of the Public Accounts Committee is to examine the audited financial statements of NAMDEVCO for the years 2008 to 2011. The committee is desirous of hearing the challenges being faced by the key stakeholders at NAMDEVCO in an attempt to determine some of the possible solutions to these challenges. The role of this committee is to help NAMDEVCO, the National Agricultural Marketing and Development Corporation, improve in any way possible, but more particularly its delivery of services in an efficient, effective, and economic manner. This meeting is being held in public and is being broadcast live on the Parliament's Channel 11 and Radio 105.5 FM and the Parliament's YouTube channel, ParlView. Viewers and listeners can participate by sending their comments related to today's topic via email, parl101@ttparliament.org, facebook.com/ttparliament, and Twitter @ttparliament. I will ask the members of my committee to introduce themselves. I have introduced myself already. And I will ask you all to introduce yourselves, and then we'll have a statement and we'll proceed. Okay? Want to start that?
Good morning, everyone. Ayana Webster-Roy, member.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sharice Sipasad. I'm a member.
Good morning, everyone. All the best for 2019. Tahar Kobika, Vice Chairman.
Morning, everyone. Lester Henry, member.
Okay. I wonder if I can ask the members of the Auditor General's Department to please identify and introduce themselves.
Good morning, all. I am Louis Hernandez, Acting Assistant Auditor General.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Riola Balroop, Acting Assistant Auditor General.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Simone Wajadali, Assistant Audit Director.
Okay, and from NAMDEVCO?
Dennis Ramdeen, Chairman, NAMDEVCO.
Nirmala Devi Singh Prasad, Chief Executive Officer, NAMDEVCO. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Lincoln Parmisa, Manager, Finance and Administration.
Good morning, everyone. Camille Mohan Kayan, Corporate Secretary.
Morning, all. Wayne Innes, Deputy Chairman.
Okay. And the Permanent Secretary and her team from Ministry of Agriculture.
Morning, Lydia Jacobs, Permanent Secretary.
Good morning, Farouk Hussain, Deputy Permanent Secretary.
Good morning, all. Dirk Ramden, Senior Legal Officer with the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay.
Good morning.
I want to invite the Permanent Secretary and the Chairman of... Oh, there are more people? Did I... I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Good morning, Marlene Andrews, Planning Officer with the Ministry.
Good morning, Neela Maraj, Director, Agricultural Planning Division.
Okay.
Good morning, Felix Clark, Board Member, NAMDEVCO. Hi, good morning. Kino Green, Human Resources Manager at NAMDEVCO.
Good morning, Prakash Ragweer, Manager of Information and Communication Technology, NAMDEVCO.
Good morning, Christopher Alexander, Acting Head of the Farmers Market Unit, NAMDEVCO.
Okay, I want to thank each and every one of you for attending. We're happy to have you here, and we will proceed with the meeting in a minute. We are due to have a presentation from the PS and one from the chairman of NAMDEVCO. Who would prefer to go first? Permanent Secretary? No, yeah, I know you're going to give a brief statement. I just wanted to know, because yours would be the overview. Yes.
Okay. Morning again, everyone.
Speak into the microphone, please.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries has oversight at some levels for approximately 10 statutory boards and state enterprises, one of which is the National Agricultural Marketing and Development Company, NAMDEVCO. Today, we welcome the opportunity to lend clarity to any areas of ambiguity as the committee examines the financial statements of this corporation for the period 2008 to 2011. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I ask the chairman to make a statement?
Thank you, Chair. Morning. Morning, Chair, members of the committee, and attendees. The National Agricultural Marketing and Development Corporation, known as NAMDEVCO, was created by an Act of Parliament in 1991 to replace the Central Marketing Agency, better known as the CMA. The objectives of NAMDEVCO are wide-ranging and these are set out in detail in the said Act. Section 12 of the NAMDEVCO Act mandates that in the exercise of the powers and duties conferred and imposed on it by this Act, the board shall comply with any special or general directions which may from time to time be given to it by the line minister. In respect of this, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries had issued certain letters of expectations to the board, which served to set out the board's mandate. The main objectives that were identified in these letters, and as well in some live presentations by the minister, were the furtherance of the Farm to Table program. This program aims to boost consumption of local produce by bringing the farmer closer to the consumer. The other main plank of the mandate was the delivery of 2 unfinished packing houses and the Woodford Lodge facility to a state of readiness for public-private partnership contracts. To the best of our ability, we have focused our efforts in furthering these primary objectives, taking into considerations the various challenges and treating with them as reasonably and diligently as we could. We thank this committee and you, Chair, for the opportunity to attend this meeting and hope our contribution is well received.
All right. Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary. Thank you very much, Chairman. We're happy for that overview. And I'll start immediately, Chairman, by asking some general questions. And remember, the questions we ask are both for own benefit as well as the benefit of the general public who might not know what NAMDEVCO does or how it operates. I'm going to start by asking some general questions, and then each of the members of the committee will ask some questions. It is possible that we'll also ask some questions to the Auditor General and revert to you on the basis of the response of the Auditor General. I'll start immediately with what you said, which was your Farm to Table program. And then secondly, the status of the business that you were trying to complete, the packing houses, and what was the other thing that you mentioned? The 2 packing houses, and what else?
And the Woodford Lodge.
And the Woodford Lodge, okay. Could you give us a kind of update on where we are with those? Yeah.
I'm going to pass to our CEO.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Public Accounts Committee, through the Farm to Table initiative, we've managed to establish to date 9 farmers markets throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad. These farmers markets, as was mentioned, its main prerogative is to develop the entrepreneurial ability of our farmers, whereby we bring farm fresh foods closer to our consumers, thereby looking at increasing the nutritive component of the food reaching our consumers, as well as reducing post-harvest losses. That is one of the greatest initiatives under the Farm to Table aspect of the program. The next initiative are the packing house completion programs, of which specifically we speak about Brechin Castle, Brickfield, and there's a Woodford Lodge Central Market facility. Chair, please permit me to say at this time that the Brechin Castle packing house is currently the subject of several legal matters, which are right now at a critical stage. Giving further details at this time may compromise NAMDEVCO's ability to properly treat with these matters. However, if I may, I am about to report on the Woodford Lodge Central Market Wholesale Facility. It is completed, and we are making strides to operationalize that facility. Additionally, the Brickfield Packing House, there are some completion construction works in the form of electrical works that are currently being completed for operationalization.
Brechin Castle is involved in litigious matters, and as a result, you don't want to say anything about that. Woodford Lodge is completed and will be operationalized. Brickfield will be completed based on things that you have to do, electrical, etc.
That is correct.
Okay, and you have established 9 farmers markets to bring food, so to speak, to the general consumer from the farm. All right, I want to ask some further general questions, and they are linked to that and what you do. All right, what would you say is the significant value of what NAMDEVCO does for agriculture and for the nation, Trinidad and Tobago? What do you think is the unique, purposeful value that you create in the economy and the society, and especially for the agricultural sector?
Okay, so there are several useful benefits that as a market and a market development corporation we bring to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I'll start with our wholesale market facilities, one of which is located at Macoya. It is perhaps one of the largest wholesale market facilities on the island. It's also well utilized by our Tobago counterparts. Further, that Macoya market facility is continuing to expand. We are introducing a lot of ICTs into the establishment and management of our markets. I would like to say at this point in time that we are introducing a prepaid parking system at the market for buyers and vendors alike. Buyers and sellers, my correction. That's some of the upgrades to the existing wholesale market facilities that we have at NAMDEVCO. We also have another wholesale market facility at Debe. That said prepaid system is going to be rolled out to the Debe wholesale market in the very near future. We also manage 2 wholesale fish market facilities where we facilitate wholesale trade of fish and seafood products from the very wee hours of the morning, from as early as 3 a.m. to as late as 12 noon on certain days. Those fish markets facilitate our fisher folk, where we provide facilities for trade and all of the other entities that are necessary for successful trade of fish and seafood products. Not only do we provide a facility, but we provide a facility that's guided by Seafood HACCP. Seafood HACCP, as you all would know, is a food safety management tool to assist with safe sale of food and processing of food. We also have a packing house facility at Piarco. That facility facilitates export of fresh agricultural produce to local, regional, and export markets. And I want to emphasize local because we are also in the process of assisting agro-processors who do not have suitable commercial facilities to process their products for local, regional, and international markets. I'd also like to draw your attention to, once again, our farmers market facilities. As I mentioned, that's another aspect of it. Including in all that we do, I would have mentioned our ICT systems. I'd like to mention NAMIS. NAMIS is a portal. It's a website that's used by many consumers that provides live data, real-time data on price and volume collected at our various markets, especially the Macoya wholesale market. Information is uploaded on a timely basis on the price and volume of produce that's traded at the market for that particular day. We are aware through our surveys that this information is used to make informed decisions by our supermarkets, our tourism sector, our caterers, and many other such institutions who are engaged in the trade of fresh fruits and vegetables throughout the island.
Okay. Where are the wholesale fish markets?
One is located in Orange Valley. The other one is located in Silots, Port of Spain.
Okay. How many farmers are there in the country, and how many of them sell to you?
So there are approximately 13,000 farmers in our country. Farmers do not sell to us per se, but we provide a facility to allow them to trade and or add value to their products.
Well, how many of them use your facilities?
On an average day, we have over 500 farmers using our facilities. This is for trade purposes at for example, at the Macoya market. We also monitor, we have a farm certification and monitoring program where we currently monitor approximately 2,300 farmers throughout the island on a 4 to 6 week rotational basis. Monitoring these farmers means offering technical advice, visiting their fields, collecting data on what's on the ground, and of our field officers, which are the technical staff who go out to the farmers. They are trained in integrated pest management. They are also trained as plant doctors, plant clinic doctors, so they offer technical advice to our farmers. They bring back information into the corporation where there are farmers who are seeking marketing support, and through our marketing department, information is disseminated to our farmers on possible market avenues for the products that they are growing.
This technical advice is provided by NAMDEVCO or by the Ministry of Agriculture?
By NAMDEVCO.
Okay, so you directly deal with 2,300 farmers?
Currently, yes.
And you have about 500 farmers participating
at the market
through your market effort. So is your concentration only the local market here? I know that you mentioned that you have a facility in Piarco, but how do you divide your time and energy and effort in terms of getting food to the consumer in Trinidad and Tobago and developing an export strategy for the country?
So quite recently, we would have had a team who would have visited Canada to look at export opportunities for local commodities in Canada. We are about to begin the registration process to have our local exporters seek investment, to seek opportunities to trade with Canada. One of the significant things that NAMDEVCO is doing right now under the gamut of food safety and export is we are in the process of developing a good agricultural practices program for Trinidad and Tobago that's certifiable and will be audited by foreign auditors. The purpose of this TT GAP program, as we loosely call it right now, is to ensure that we open export market opportunities for our exporters, specifically into the U.S. market under the Food Safety and Modernization Act. That act requires that exporters are trained and are guided by 7 rules. What we have done thus far, we've attempted to train a lot of our stakeholders on the 7 rules. We also have persons that are lead trainers at the corporation with respect to the Food Safety Modernization Act, some of the rules. Through this, we are attempting to prepare our exporters to meet the U.S. import guidelines for fresh produce into their markets. This information is also going to be translated to our growers or our farmers in a state of readiness. So in developing this GAP program, it's a food safety program because food safety starts on the field, and we are preparing our farmers to be certified food safe on the field so that their products can enter into the U.S. markets. It is hoped that through this program, it will also open opportunities for European markets, as well as it will be recognized on our regional partners to facilitate regional trade of local produce.
Okay, based on the numbers you gave me, there are about 2,800 farmers that you would know where they function, where they operate, what they produce, in what quantities, etc. How do you get information, and is that information of any value to you for the other 10,000 farmers?
Yes, we do get information. Farm monitoring and forms are completed on the field by the officers. It's put into a database. The information is collated and analyzed as necessary, perhaps sometimes on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on the demand for the information. This information is made available to potential buyers, whether it's for local or export markets. It's made available to CSO. It's made available to policymakers and other decision makers. It's even made available to many of our institutional programs, such as the school nutrition program, so that sometimes they know what's available on the field when they're doing their menu plans for the school term.
So you have a database of 13,000 farmers, where they are located, how much land under cultivation, and what they produce?
No, only for the 2,300 that we monitor. Because the program is a voluntary program, we would look at facilitating those farmers who want to join the program. As time goes on, farmers continuously see the benefit of joining our program, so the list continues to grow of the number of certified farmers under the Farm Monitoring and Certification Program of NAMDEVCO. But right now, the database has information of approximately 2,300 farmers island-wide.
Okay, but you don't have, are you telling me that you don't have information on the other 10,000?
We do have some information, but not as in-depth as we would have for the 2,300 that we currently monitor on a routine basis.
Okay.
Yes.
Who has information on the 13,000 farmers? Who would have information on that? The Ministry of Agriculture?
Yes, the ministry would have a database of the number of farmers through their farmer registration program of all the farmers in the island.
And what they produce and where they are located?
The ministry is.
So, Chair, we do have significant information on registered farmers. As you know, there are farmers, and some are registered and some are not. But that is one of the challenges we have experienced with all our entities. And as a result, sometime last year around August, we would have met all the stakeholders with different kinds of information, because we are looking at a platform that will allow us to share this kind of information, because we have some, NAMDEVCO has, then the Agricultural Bank, Development Bank may have information, and so all our stakeholders, we have information. But we must develop a shared platform which will allow us to be able to communicate. So we have started that discussion with all of these entities. But as she rightly said, they will have some information, we will have some information.
Okay, but how do, where does the figure 13,000 come from then?
Chair, if
I wouldn't be able to answer that at this point.
Chairman, sometime in the past, our ICT department would have worked with the ministry to develop some programs, and that approximate figure came through that collaborative work at that time.
Okay, you see, the reason I ask that is, if you know how many farmers you have, and you know how much land is under their jurisdiction, and you have a market understanding of what are your markets and what is needed, you could design a production system, over the course of a 12-month period that would solve many, many problems.
Yes.
So that's why I'm asking about the data and about the accuracy of it and the value of it.
Chair,
yes.
I would just want to be careful that NAMDEVCO would speak for the 2,300 farmers that we are aware of and deal with on a regular basis.
Okay, so basically NAMDEVCO deals with 500 farmers who address the local market through the system that you have, and 23 other farmers that you liaise with in order to plan and organize in relation to that local market.
That is inclusive of, because our certified farmers also access our wholesale and farmers market facilities.
All
yes.
right.
Yes.
Okay, I understand now. So in a real sense, from the point of view of the value of farmers and agricultural production to the country, we have a problem of really knowing whether 10,000 other farmers are in the production business in agriculture, where they are, how many acres they have, and what they are producing. So we need, if we are to have a strategy for agricultural production and for agro-processing and all of these things, we need to have that basic data before us, not so?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I will pass on to my colleagues and ask them to follow up. Who would like to follow up? Yes, please.
Morning. I just want to follow up on the chairman's comments. What are you all doing to get information on these other farmers? Because it seems that there is a large number of persons whom you could be helping to improve their businesses, etc. Are you doing surveys? What are you doing to get information to expand your reach?
Okay, so before the CEO gives the operational answer, I just want to say that NAMDEVCO has limitations in terms of its resources. So we are not pretending to be able to take on the whole of Trinidad. And by the way, we cover Trinidad only as under the Act. And that we work together with the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, but that I'm sure Nimala is going to give you an idea of some of the things that we do, but the main responsibility for the totality of farmers would be the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and where we come in is with, in particular, enabling the marketing aspect of their enterprise.
So while we have approximately 2,300 farmers registered with us, it does not limit us to assist farmers who do not want to register with us. Through our NAMIS website, through our Facebook portal, through the many stakeholder forums which we hold, for example, a quite recent one is the Buyers Stakeholder Forum. We always get persons who are interested in the marketing of agricultural produce to contact us. So we're always sharing information, and that's one of the greatest facilities that we provide. We have information in terms of price and volume data. We have data that can identify trends on the market, that can identify various facets of statistical information to be able to be used to make informed decisions. Even though there are farmers who are not on our program, they still access our services. Yeah? So they may call, they may visit our Facebook, they may visit our website, ask for information, and the information is supplied to the farmer and or agri-processor as the case might be. So while they do not want to join our program, that's fine. We're still there to facilitate agricultural marketing.
Yeah, just a follow-up of the 13,000 so-called farmers. How many are legit? I mean, how many, do you have any idea, are active? Because I can't believe we have 13,000 active farmers. So in other words, to get an idea of what portion of the actual active farmers that you are servicing.
So let me jump in here. I've been in this agricultural space only for the last 3 or 4 years. And based on what I have seen, I think it would be a bit of a guessing game to call a number. 1. 2, people who have come out of farming, whether they have been struck from the list. And some people who have not even considered themselves to register as a farmer. So I think that there's need for some primary study, and I would suggest that probably is something that the ministry is probably actively looking at, but I can't speak for them.
As to what proportion of you might be serving, you know, if you think you're reaching 10%, 15%, you know, it doesn't have to be exact, you know. But I'll leave it there based on your comments, Mr. Chairman. I was looking at the internal audit numbers, and you mentioned you were introducing technology and so on. There's a lot of discrepancies in terms of what things, small amounts of money, but money nevertheless that went awry. You know, how are you trying to address these issues?
Can you give a specific?
Sorry. Yeah, in one instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, an estate constable collected the funds when he wasn't authorized to do so.
Right. Good.
It should have been a manager.
Okay. So we
things like that. How are you addressing issues?
Lincoln. Just remind them who you are.
Yeah, Lincoln Parmesa, Manager of Finance and Administration. Good morning, Chairman, members. Obviously, that really speaks to the diligence in following the procedures and complying. So there's a greater emphasis now on ensuring persons comply with whatever rules are in place and supervision of what is done.
I made the point that the CEO had mentioned about technology and so on. Are you having problems using links and, you know, credit card payments or whatever else to help address these issues?
No, well, certainly now all employees are paid their salaries and wages via direct bank transfers. So we would have eliminated the risk that may have existed, say, with payment by check or paying directly to the employee. So we are using technology. We are also enhancing the computer systems that we have in terms of processing transactions. We are also, if I may add, as the CEO would have mentioned, for example, we have computerized the collection of revenue at the northern wholesale market, and that is to be rolled out to the other markets. That will strengthen our ability to collect revenue and account for that revenue. So again, we are applying technology there.
MPR Webster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to PS.
I'm going back to the discussion on the database and the number of farmers we have in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm aware that when you register to become a farmer, that you're supposed to be assigned an extension officer. NAMDEVCO would have indicated that they have the technical officers who frequently monitor their 2,300 farmers that's registered with them and working with them. What is the ministry doing to ensure that the extension officers are actually on the field getting the information so that your data could be correct and up to date? How many extension officers you have and how are they assigned in terms of regions and so on, please?
Well, the extension officers are assigned by basis of their counties. But you see, unless we are digital, the information will always be subject to correction. And that is why the information has to be, because we have information, land management division has information, the county division, they have some information. All the information that is in the county is not in the land management division. So that is our focus right now, to merge this and then to link with our stakeholders so that we can produce accurate information. So any numbers I can give, they're not really, I cannot give you accurate data at this point in time. So the issue has to be moving forward. How do we correct these anomalies that exist and be able, therefore, to produce real-time and accurate data?
Okay, so taking into consideration the farmers that you should be aware of now, how is the information collected? NAMDEVCO would have indicated that is real time. So when the technical officer goes to the field, I don't know if is it by a tablet, they will input the information and then come back to the office, and what is done with our extension officers? How do they operate to ensure that if they say they're going to XYZ farmer, they actually went and information is brought back to the ministry on a timely basis so we could actually track and monitor what is happening?
Okay, well, that is an issue at the divisional levels where that'll be the process at the divisions where they will monitor their members as they go out. But I can't tell you the exact mechanism, but I do know it is manual in nature. It is not tablet-oriented.
You noted that the ministry will be looking to collaborate with different stakeholders to bring the information up to date and ensure that there's a level of predictability in terms of what is happening. How far is the process? What is the plan? Are you planning to have a standardized form in terms of how the data is collected? Is it going to be a central registry where the information is sent monthly by the different agencies? What is the plan?
Well, the first initiative, the first meeting took place last year. I came into the ministry in June. So around August, as I said, we would have met all the stakeholders to, first of all, determine what do we have on the ground, and therefore, how do we move forward? I can say none are compatible right now. That is what I can see. So in moving forward, as I said, even at the ministry level, we have different systems. So land management, then I go out to the counties. So first of all, it's really how are we are looking at, we have formed a committee to look at, first of all, what do we have? We have already determined who will own the system. And so moving forward, we will determine. We have not reached very far, I said. It just started because we needed to look at how can we provide accurate information and how can we communicate with each other being in the same business and serving more or less the same clientele.
Okay. And this question is to NAMDEVCO. I noted when you were doing the presentation, the opening, I think it was the opening statement, you'd have noted that you would have introduced a system where the vendors and the prepayment, right? And I'm thinking that would have been done to improve a particular process. What else has been done in terms of technology to improve processes at NAMDEVCO and to ensure that there's a better customer service as well as better client relationship with the organization and the farmers?
commodities, they can SMS. Oh, sorry. So I was asked to start over. So quite a few ICT technologies we would have introduced. One is an SMS system that can give real-time and very quick pricing of approximately 46 commodities. You can SMS the message and it comes right back. We have an Android and iOS app that can be downloaded on your phone that can be used to give prices of agricultural commodities. It's an app, so it's very live, it's active, it gives real-time information. We have, of course, our electronic mail system. We have a direct hotline to what we call a buyer's and seller's desk. We understand the challenges of waiting on information, so we have a hotline that once you access it, you can get real-time information on what you want to buy or what you want to sell. So we offer that service as well. And of course, through our websites, our Facebook pages, in as much as we collect information, we disseminate information as well. So for example, even if there's a farmer who has 10,000 pounds of tomatoes, and he may choose to tell us, NAMDEVCO, I need a sale for it, but I don't want a local sale for it. Please assist me with either a regional or international sale. We have those capabilities. So we link the farmer to the market. We may have the opposite, where we may have a buyer who is interested in purchasing a 20-foot container of pumpkins holding approximately 25,000 pounds. We can connect you. In the event of, we also have the packing house facility that's on Cura with all of the packing guidelines and food safety protocols for each of the importing countries. They can pack your product according to those country specifications and meet the SPS requirements for export. Thank you.
Senator Jahaka.
Thanks, Chair. Question again for NAMDEVCO regarding a follow-up to MP Roy's, Webster Roy's question regarding the foreign exchange issue. So if a farmer gets a foreign sale, is the foreign exchange remitted to the farmer or they're paid in TT via NAMDEVCO? So let me re-ask the question. Yes. Do you connect the farmer directly to the buyer, or does the farmer access the buyer via NAMDEVCO? So does the flow of funds go through NAMDEVCO, or it goes directly buyer to seller?
No, NAMDEVCO facilitates bridging that gap between the buyer and the seller. Prices and an exchange of funds are nowhere in our business transactions. Okay. We are totally facilitative of getting the buyer and the seller to come to a meeting point. They arrange their prices, they arrange how monies will be exchanged. We don't get involved.
Okay. I have a question regarding the legislation, because if I go through legislation, I see Trinidad and Tobago referenced together. It's not referenced as Trinidad alone. So I find it strange that that NAMDEVCO would be saying that they are restricted to the island of Trinidad.
If I may, previously we did have a representative in Tobago. We have continuously done collaborative works with THA in terms of training seminars and even assisting some of their farmers through indirect linkages to find markets. So, but we are right now attempting to get back a NAMDEVCO's presence in Tobago to facilitate marketing of what's grown and processed in Tobago.
Okay, so since I was the one that said it, I just want to clarify. There is no restriction legally, but we have no actual facilities in Tobago. So I'm sorry if I misled that it was only. Camille, you want to clarify that? No, you're good.
Just based on something you have said, NAMDEVCO wanting to establish a presence to facilitate marketing, etc. How would that align with the Tobago Assembly, the division that's responsible for farmers and marketing? Was the collaboration was happening there?
Mm-hmm. Can I take that?
Chair?
Yeah, well, we have a member we have a table union on the board, but I want to pass that to our COPSEC in terms of the legalese.
If I may, the board would have previously discussed getting into a collaborative relationship with Tobago through the Division of Agriculture, because it is understood that the equivalent Ministry of Agriculture department is the Division of Agriculture. So currently we have on the membership in the board a member of the division. He is a fisheries officer, and the work is being done through him to set up those meetings, but we are at a preliminary stage right now.
Follow-up? You have follow-up questions? Different questions. You have different questions? Okay. How many farmers do you have in Tobago?
Chair, at this point in time, I cannot quantify.
You do not know?
No.
Okay, you don't even have a ballpark figure, 100, 50, 200, whatever?
I can't, no, not at this time. I can't tell. I would have had previous figures, but my memory doesn't serve me right now on those previous figures.
All right. Secondly, what's happening in terms of your ICT strategy for development? You mentioned 3 different things that you have. But I mean, clearly from what we can see here, there's a need to integrate the farmers in the system, the quantity of land, the products they produce, to have an overarching view of what is possible in one place. And also to link that to have a link between supply and demand. So when you pull together all of this information, which gives you a sense of supply, let's say over time, in a 12-month period, you'll be able to know how much of each crop you have coming up, etc. And you link that to demand, whether local or international or both, you will be able to organize things a lot better, a little differently, a little significantly more effectively and efficiently. When are we going to, do we have any plan like that, and are we going to get there?
We do have a plan like that, except our plan also, with respect to ICT, is also to be used as an information portal with respect to diagnosing and being able to identify and treat with diseases on the field before they reach a stage where it cannot be controlled. So the ICT platform that is being developed to provide information to the stakeholders, be it internally or externally, it's also being developed to help the farmer to help himself through the need to diagnose diseases and to be able to identify diseases on the field. So it's really a real-time platform. With respect to marketing and market development, which is what that information will be used for, who's growing what, when it will be available, what they plan to grow in the near future, we are building a platform right now. I shouldn't say right now.
Interesting, and is there a time horizon for an integrated system like that?
No, they are right. We've started initial talks on developing that type of database, but if I may, Chair, I'd like to pass the question to the ICT manager so he can give us some more information on what is exactly being planned to put this information together to be able to disseminate it to the users.
No, okay, that's fine, and I'd like the ICT person to speak, but is it a he or she?
He.
Right, I would like him to speak to the issue of what is the ultimate objective that you are seeking in integration, and how long will it take to deliver that? All right? I don't want a whole operational plan of what you're going to do. I just want those 2 things. What is it you're trying to achieve in your integrated system, and how long will it take you?
Thank you, Chair. Just for information, in terms of the NAMIS system, which is the National Agriculture Market Information System, it is a holistic system built with the capability to have all the farmers in Trinidad and Tobago into that system in terms of the data that needs to be collected in terms of the farmer, his static information together with his production data. That infrastructure is already available at the corporation in the form of NAMIS. Our challenge, Mr. Chairman, is really the number of bodies that is required in order to collect data for the entire country in order to get it into the system. The NAMIS system has the data for the farmers collected with respect to the certified farms.
That is the 2,800, right?
That is the 2,800. So in terms of technology, it's just a matter of getting additional data because the database is already constructed and it's available. And it's from that portal that all the data that is disseminated to all the current users, which is the farmers, the agro-processors, the exporters, are being pulled from that particular system. The website that you need to look at is called www.namistt.com. That is where you will see the pricing information being collated and disseminated to all the different stakeholders. In terms of the production data that you are speaking about, the infrastructure in terms of us is available. That is already constructed, so I don't need to construct that a second time around.
Okay, so you have all the IT infrastructure to achieve what you are seeking to achieve, but you don't have the resources or a plan with a timeline to people the data base that you have.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, you see, that is an important piece of clarification because I suspect it's also a resource issue that has led to the fact that you don't have audited accounts up to date. And we have a situation now in which there is really a lag time. I could ask the Auditor General about that a little bit. And, I mean, do you have a resource problem in NAMDEVCO? I mean, it seems to me if you want to know about agriculture and you are dealing with the marketing, you know, Arthur Lewis said a long time ago, everything begins with the market. And if you are the marketing arm for the agricultural production system of Trinidad and Tobago, and you do not have the data, you cannot market anything except the little bit of data that you have, really. And even the price formulation that you say for 46 items is determined only by the limited database that you have of 2,800 people. And perhaps by going to the market and knowing what the market knows, etc. I don't know how helpful ultimately those things are unless you have that solid database that you can get all your information together and you know what you are doing. So that is why I'm so concerned about this, you see. All right, and if you have the infrastructure, which is what your IT person has said, what is your name, sir? Mr. Ragbir has said that he has the IT capability. It is important to put that data and to get the means, which is really people and bodies and activity and systems in order to make sure that this database is filled with the correct information. And on the 2,800 that you have all the data that I'm asking about, how much land they have, what they produce, how much they produce, and so on for the 2,800?
We will not have it in terms of the total parcel of land that they own, but we will have the total parcel of land that is under production.
All right. You want to say that again? Because
okay, we would not have the total number of land that they own, but we will have the number of acreage that are under production. The Ministry of Agriculture will normally have that land information in their land information system.
Okay. Can I also ask a question on fisheries? How many fishermen do we have in Trinidad and Tobago, fisher people?
Sorry, Chair, we don't have that information readily available.
Okay, you see.
But it is available, but I didn't.
Okay, so you have the information, but you just don't have it here. All right, well, that's a better answer. Could you provide us first so that we know?
That will be registered fisher folk.
Yes. Okay, so that takes me to the other question. Of the 13,000 farmers you claim we have, how many are registered farmers? Or is the 13,000 registered farmers? You see, there's a reason I'm asking that question, and the reason is this. I know that the Ministry of Agriculture has been trying recently to get the registered farmers and to rationalize those who have state lands that they are either squatting on or have tenancy of, etc., in order to make some rationalization of this. But in my own constituency, when farmers have gone up, the difficulty has been that if they don't have, if they have been on land, it doesn't matter how long, but they have no formal legal basis for being there with the papers, they cannot be registered. And secondly, there are complications, even those who have state tenancy issues. So to me, this is a very important issue to determine whether or not we have a production base and what it is. I don't feel we could even attempt to address the question of how much we can produce of each item unless we regularize these issues. And then there are all kinds of problems with farmers, with people who have been there for years, other people coming and claiming parts of the land because they don't have title of ownership, etc. So this registration issue is important. How many registered farmers do we have?
Chair, I don't have that information at hand.
Can you get it?
Yes, the registered farmers, yes, that is what you can get.
We would like to know, okay? Because those things, it seems to me, are important, or else we cannot have the production system that we have. I wonder if you have a question? Follow-up? Yes, follow-up questions from the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Now, a cursory glance on the internet will give you, a cursory search on the internet will give you options for big data, right? Some of which are very expensive, some of which are inexpensive. And the ones that are self-populating might be more relevant in terms of a cost-effective approach, all right, given your subvention isn't grand. Now, what I would like to ask from NAMDEVCO, given that you all are on the field as opposed to persons from the ministry who have to survey everything, if you all can commit to suggesting which applications might be of value. For instance, WASA is an app where you can geo-position where there's a leak, and those types of things. At least that's the idea. Whether it works for WASA is a different scenario, but we will get there as a country. Are there any things like that you all will be looking at in NAMDEVCO?
Yes, we will be looking at a system, and we've initiated discussions where farmers can populate a database in terms of what they are growing and their expected yields. So that is one of the data collection devices that we have had discussions about to be able to capture more data in a faster time frame. Of course, it will be subject to various audits, verifications, and monitoring programs. But yes, it is something that we have discussed in going forward.
Could you furnish this committee with any, of course, given the restrictions you may have with your line ministry, but once there are no restrictions, could you furnish this committee with propositions to that effect so we could understand better in detail what is at stake?
Yes, once we have completed with our ICT department the approach that we're going to use in terms of making sure that the information that's been put into that database is verifiable, we will be more than willing to share that process with you all. As I said, we've had initial discussions on it because we recognize the need to get more information from what's happening in our farming communities. As a marketing corporation, we are bombarded with a host of different types of information that we need to disseminate. And we need to be in the know real time. Because, as I always say, fruits and vegetables are not going to stay on the trees for any extended period of time. Once they've reached that stage of physiological maturity, they need to be harvested and they need to go to market within a particular time frame to ensure that their post-harvest lives ensure a particular market value for the commodity. So we have to be quick with what we're doing, and that's why we're thinking about, and we've engaged discussions to get more information from the field to us.
Okay, Senator C. Prasad.
Chairman, I just
You want
want
something?
to deal with the accounts, some information on your accounts. When I read it, I realized you had some issues with the audited accounts up to 2011, and that there are some issues in terms of the balances not being reconciled, et cetera, And going forward, have you put things in place to address these issues so that the information produced in the subsequent accounts is something you can rely on, and because it's also a tool to manage. So you don't want to be relying on inaccurate information. If you could tell me about that, as well as are there resources that you require that would add to your ability to produce accurate financial records? And do you have policies and procedures that would guide your people, your staff, in when they do whatever they have to do in terms of the accounts and just general management of the corporation to ensure that that your corporation is really properly managed?
Yes, certainly we have addressed many of the differences, certainly the significant ones, such that the 2011 accounts, as you would see, we were able to get what is called an unqualified opinion, whereas in the previous year it was qualified. So we have addressed many, certainly, of the significant issues, and going forward, we'll be able to have a balance sheet that can be relied upon more significantly. We all have to work with constrained resources in these times, so we are making do with what we have. Certainly in terms of guidance of the staff, that is being done on an ongoing basis in terms of even some aspect of training, in-house training that we do. So all of those are being handled internally.
And your policies and procedures, do you have those in place at this time now?
Yes, certainly we do, for the preparation of the accounts, for other processing of transactions within the department. We do have those, and we believe we review them on an ongoing basis and do make changes where we feel we need to enhance certain aspects of those processes and procedures. But we do have a base to work with.
And with respect to the accounts from 2012 to 2017, we noted that they were they're in the process of being audited, I believe.
That's correct.
You're going to have those finished. Do you have an idea when they will be finished?
Well, I'll allow the Auditor General to speak. I have some information, but I think it's best that they present that information.
Good morning again, all. The status of the financial statements for 2012 financial year is at an advanced stage of review, so that should be out shortly. However, the 2013, we are waiting final signed financial statements from NAMDEVCO, because there were adjustments as happened with the previous years. 2014 fieldwork was completed recently, and we have the quality control review process ongoing. The 2015 fieldwork, we expect to commence at the end of January 2019, and the fieldwork for financial years 2016 and 2017 will follow. So
just give me an idea of when you think all of this is going to be done.
right. Okay. Right. Say by June, I would say, the fieldwork should be completed, and in between there, we should have 2013, 12, 13, and 14 certified. Yes.
So we should be up to date by the end of this year?
I would say so. I would say so. That's the aim. That's the aim.
Up to date meaning 2017?
Up to 2017, yes.
Okay. Will you meet your March or April deadline for 2018 accounts?
Well, yes.
You will?
We have them prepared, but the issue is to have them audited because we, as a board, decided to publish, if that is the issue, only those which have been audited and certified to be fair.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right, but you'll be on time with 2018.
Yes, it will be completed. Yes.
Yes, I have a couple of different streams of questions, but one of the things you mentioned was the ability to access the Canadian and American markets that you were working on. So, what is the articulation between yourself as NAMDEVCO and the ministry, because that is a very big task of trying to break into the U.S. market. I'm familiar with some of the problems of exporting almost anything, especially agricultural products, to the U.S. How is that going? And how is that being handled? Because that seems, you seem to be severely resource challenged. So how are you dealing with that?
Okay, so I'll give you the answer in two parts. I'll do one, and I'll ask Mr. Alexander to do the other question on the Canadian market. With respect to the U.S. market and with the advent of the Food Safety Modernization Act, it has specific requirements for the importer with respect to fresh fruits and vegetables. As a corporation, we are preparing our stakeholders to meet the requirements of the Act through rigorous training and through dissemination of information. The GAP program that we are about to embark on is also a part of it. It's a certification program that certifies the produce safe for human consumption, and that's the broadest aspect of the GAP program. So having said that, we are placing our exporters and our producers in a state of readiness for their products to be accepted into the U.S. market. Previously, we would have facilitated many millions of pounds of produce shipped from NAMDEVCO's packing house into the U.S. market and the Canadian market. But now, because of regulatory requirements and SPS issues, we have to abide with the requirements of the importing country. Mr. Alexander will provide you with another update on the Canadian market.
Good morning again to everyone. The trip to Canada was a fact-finding. It was a basis of a trade mission to Canada, seeing that they have issues in production throughout the year. Generally, what we did was a review of the supermarkets to identify the types of fresh produce, tropical fresh produce that they demand or they use due to the Caribbean diaspora there. Also, we looked at creating linkages with the different importers or distributors in Canada. And this was backed up by focus on the different types of legislation or registration that is needed to enter the Canadian market. All this information which we collected now will then be disseminated to the local users or the exporters, even traded back to the farmers to create that direct system from what they require from the production stage straight to be able to enter the market. So the report was done, submitted to the board, and a brief presentation which will begin the rollout in terms of the know-how to export to Canada. See it? Yeah, the know-how to get to Canada and to familiarize them with the requirements of entry into the Canadian market.
The CEO mentioned the SPS. I assume you mean phytosanitary measures. Could you give us a specific example of what are some of the problems that we encounter in our produce is encountering in the Canadian market?
Of course, all products that are exported are required to have plant quarantine certificates, to be inspected by plant quarantine. Some of the major issues, we've not had any reported major issues thus far from NAMDEVCO's information, that is. But you're speaking specifically in terms of...
Is there a particular problem with our sweet potato or carrot, whatever we produce? What is the exact problem that would fall under sanitary or phytosanitary?
Okay, so right now there are particular commodities that are in demand. Again, we've seen commodities like hot peppers, dashing leaves, melungeons, a few others. These are the demand commodities that are competitive on the international markets. So, of course, we pay attention to the SPS issues, but other commodities, they don't create as much as a demand in the market. So, for example, yes, we have the issue with the silas, with the sweet potatoes, and we are trying to manage that.
For the public?
How we manage the sweet potato problem. I would like to take that question to Ministry as the technical team that's dealing with the silas.
Chair, the sweet potatoes, there's a problem as far as I know with a weevil. But as far as I am aware, that is being managed through the training division, the extension services division, the agricultural services division, and the research division. So they are working directly with the farmers under their purview to address the concerns of the sweet potato. In terms of its marketing, I cannot answer that, but I know at the ministry level, that matter is being addressed by training and education of the farmers.
You want to follow?
Yeah, so a follow-up regarding marketing. Because I turned to the organizational chart of NAMDEVCO, and practically, except for the position of manager market facilitation, every other position that has the word marketing in it is vacant. And this is a marketing and agricultural development services vacant. Market development, LRI, vacant. Agribusiness development, vacant. Market research and product development, vacant. Could we get some answers on that? Because if the challenge is to get into the external market and practically all the marketing officers are not on post, how do we resolve that?
We're currently finalizing our strat plan, and including in that filling many of those vacancies that you have identified. The only other thing I would want to point out that there are positions that don't have the term marketing in it, but they are essentially providing a marketing function. So, for example, the Farmers Market Initiative, whose acting manager is here with us today, Christopher. Every week from Point Fortin to Diego Martin, we have 9 opportunities for farmers to come and sell directly to consumers. And that distribution point is critical to their ability to bring their goods to market. So that while I would say that our entire operation is a marketing operation, and that, yes, some of those positions where we need to beef up our specific areas in terms of roles, that those are being addressed as we speak, within the context of the challenges of the budgets and that kind of thing.
So, Chairman, is it that you have challenges getting funding? That's why these positions aren't filled, notwithstanding the statement regarding the strat plan, which is imminent?
No, I wouldn't blame it on the funding. I wouldn't blame it on the funding. I think we get now something to the order of 30 million subvention.
Own funding.
And then we have our own funding as well in terms of fees that provide.
I just wanted to, as you on the point of subvention, I wanted to ask a question regarding the marketing in terms of, is there a plan, notwithstanding the strat plan session, which is imminent, is there a plan to generate additional income? Because apart from the subvention, you generate about $3 to $5 million annually from your other sources. Is there any plan to generate additional income from international marketing efforts?
All right.
Or that will be captured by the subvention?
Right. Okay. So, yes, going back to the filling of the positions question. and then I'll come to that. There was a hold put on the filling of positions. I would imagine that was 18 months ago or so. So that would have slowed us down, and that was a direct relation to funds that are available to pay people's salaries and that kind of thing. Where we see ourselves raising some of our own funds, apart from the current means of, which are fees from the public and fees from farmers and fees from people who are at our various facilities, would be through the potential of the packing houses. And that's why it's a priority for us to get our packing houses, that PPP, the public-private partnership program going, so that we could potentially get some revenue from that. But it is tough.
Is it possible for you to become financially viable on your own without subsidies or with reduced subsidies? I mean, do you have a plan for that?
No, I'm not seeing that. I think from where I sit, NAMDEVCO is set up to really facilitate and to enable, and to some degree there's a subsidy to the farming community by providing markets that cost a lot more to run than fees could ever pay for.
Right.
I mean, if we just look at even the farmers' markets that we run, you have to put up a tent, you have to buy tables, you have to have toilets, you have to have cleaning, you have to, and by and large, I don't believe we charge farmers at this stage, so they have a facility. So it's really serving the farming community, so that if we were to become viable, then it would be something that the farmers ultimately would have to pay for, and the public would have to share.
Okay. You know, you talk about export markets, but you know tourism is an export product. I mean, although tourists come to your shores, it really is an export product. And to the extent that you are able to convert locally produced food into cuisine that is then available to tourists, etc., that is a significant market for local produce. Mm-hmm. And I'm not thinking only about the Trinidad and Tobago market where tourism is not strong, but I'm thinking about the regional market as well. Is there any connectivity at all between what NAMDEVCO does and the regional tourism market?
I don't believe that we have a deliberate plan. There probably are some spin-offs, but I don't know that it's something that we are focused on.
Is that something you can look at, starting at home?
But the only thing I'd want to be realistic here, we have our own demons to fight in terms of running markets, in terms of expanding our farmers' markets, in terms of being of better service to our farmers through our own extension officers, in terms of getting the data going. So, I mean, we can add 25 more things to the list, but will we really do a good job? No.
Okay. And in addition, you are under-resourced both in the financial sector as well as other areas.
I would think the country is getting fairly good value for money in terms of what it costs to have NAMDEVCO.
No, but you are under-resourced in terms of the personnel that you have to keep your operations going, right?
Well, I'm agreeing with you in a roundabout way. That is not to say.
Yeah, you are giving as much value as you can under this.
Well, that's not to say that we can't improve.
Yeah.
We definitely can improve. We can improve productivity. We can improve how much gray matter we put into any issue to do it better. So there are many opportunities.
Okay, Senator Henry, Senator C. Prasad, you wanted something
okay.
too?
I'll yield. I think you were waiting.
Senator C. Prasad, go ahead.
Thank you. Just jumping off the point of resources and financial resources, I was looking at your receivables and prepayments. Do you have a debt recovery policy? Because there's no point having receivables if you're not collecting them. I mean, that's just a waste of money that somebody else has. And, you know, you really should be going aggressively after you're collecting your money.
Yes, but we do have systems and processes in place to pursue those debts, most of which were incurred many years ago. In fact, we have stopped having credit sales or the fees and so on, give credit for those, except for at the processing packing house for selected clients. So we're more or less on a cash basis, but we do have processes in place for follow-up to collect those that we do have on the books. We have also engaged a collection agency to pursue those which are problematic in terms of collection.
And how successful are those efforts?
Well, we are collecting. It's not as good as we would like. We do collect small amounts. As I said, many of these are actually statute barred.
Okay.
All right? So that it is a challenge in collecting, but we do collect small amounts as we go along.
Thanks.
Actually, my question is on marketing, and that in terms of, there's a trend now where people are looking towards organic products and produce. Is there any system in place for where NAMDEVCO would usually maybe separate or grade, even if not the local farm-to-table initiative, in terms of what is organic and what is not organic, and finding market for local organic produce, international markets, and that sort of thing?
So, based on our farm certification and monitoring program, produce on the farms are monitored for their safety component. Data is also collected. Technical visuals are done on the farm in terms of food safety. From the standpoint of organic, no, we're not in a position to identify foods as organic, but we can verify through the farms that we monitor that the products are produced safe through our technical dissemination of information, through the information that we collect. That's as much as we can do.
So at no time should we see coming at your wholesale market, somebody coming and saying certified organic based on NAMDEVCO. That should not happen, right?
Certified by whom?
NAMDEVCO.
No.
That should not happen.
No,
so
but you will be a NAMDEVCO certified farmer, but that certification program is originally developed out of a trade protocol that was signed with Barbados. So it has its own requirements, it has its own affiliations in terms of certification, but in terms of organic, no.
Yeah. Chairman, just one clarification on your earlier point on any spillover to tourism. I am told that the high-end hotels, like the Hyatt, would regularly call NAMDEVCO to confirm that farmers that they are dealing with are certified, and that is to meet their own certification requirements. So we are playing a role there, but I didn't want to overstate it.
Yes, okay, no, I understand. Yeah.
There's a question on the receivables. I'm seeing that the 90 days plus receivables, apart from the CMA heritage debt, right? You have $2.36 million, but 67% of that is one receivable, right? Which is over 90 days. Is it that this receivable is being recovered or going to be taken off the books? The second question, are you saying the receivable I'm talking about, or I need to mention the company? Yeah. Mm. And the other issue I have is when you go through, you've seen a lot of receivables beyond 90 days that are less than even $10. Many are below 100, but there are even some below $10, like 50 cents and that kind of thing. I'm seeing one, and also I'm seeing one for high-low. And I thought they had changed the Massey stores to 4,500. And I want to know if Massey stores recognizes this, or there's something else that explains that. So basically, they are cleaning up of the register. That is the question I'm having there.
Yes. The particular customer that you're referring to, that matter is under legal proceedings. Yeah, so that is being dealt with. The others there, the smaller ones, some of them may be a residual after amounts have been paid or credit notes have been issued. But we are undertaking a cleanup exercise as we go along. Some of those have been removed already, and the process is ongoing.
Okay. Back to the question of exporting to foreign markets. You mentioned Canada and possibly the U.S. What about the European Union in terms of being a target for some of our exports? Because we went through a large negotiation process to pass an agreement with Europe, the Economic Partnership Agreement, which should have given us access to European markets and so on. Is there any effort in that direction?
There used to be some very small trade into the European market, but there are many challenges into getting into that market. One of which is, of course, trade standards. For example, farmers have to be Global Gap and/or Europe Gap certified, so that's one. And two, again, there's logistics, getting into those markets sometimes. Three, the demand for the particular commodity. So there used to be a fair amount of trade into Europe. As of now, the trades are very, very minimal, and these are some of the issues that are affecting the growth of that market.
Okay, my final question is in terms of your research. I don't get the feeling that you do a lot of research at NAMDEVCO. Because there's no manager research or anything like that on the organizational chart. And if you're successful with your ICT platforms and so on, you're going to collect a large amount of data, right, that you disseminate. That is part of your function, as you stated. But who actually does the research in terms of looking at these data and analyzing them? You just pass it over to the Ministry of Agriculture and say, okay, that's outside our portfolio.
So that will form part of our strat plan that's currently being developed, reviewed. We do have provisions for those types of functions to be filled.
Yes, because it's important to me because given my other hat, when I'm not here, I'm a research person, and I really would like to get behind some of what is going on in terms of our agricultural production. I mean, you should have a rich data set if you're successful.
We do.
So
yes.
We need to put it to use.
Yes, agreed.
Just a comment I want to make, Chair. I think I'm getting the sense that the CEO has to do too much things in terms of the core function of the organization, and wouldn't be able to focus on her role and function as a CEO. The whole issue of having a marketing company without marketing experts is worrying, notwithstanding the fact that you've been prevented from hiring. So it's maybe no fault of the organizations. But given that you're going into a strategic planning session, I think you should put some pressure, because to me, it is reprehensible as a country. We have a marketing company, and we don't have marketing experts resident there, who would then be able to give the CEO the best-in-class information, so then she can make her strategic decisions without having to worry about getting dirty in doing the actual marketing herself. So that's a comment I want to leave.
Okay, could I ask the members of the Auditor General's team here if you'd like to make any comment before we close?
Chair, the issue of the ICT systems it was raised. We have a similar situation which was raised in the public accounts in the last 2 years, where you have ministries, departments requiring the same data, yet they all have different standalone systems. So this is a big issue where you have like 4 entities here requiring the same data for so many farmers. So they should meet together and collaborate to ensure that there is compatibility among the various systems. Yes.
Anything else on the accounts in particular and the audit? I know you made a comment on that earlier.
Yes. Well, the Auditor General has put systems in place to ensure that the accounts are brought up to date. And we have teams working, so we expect to get the financial statements audited, as we said, by year's end, up to 2017.
Okay. I want to, you want to say anything in relation to the Auditor General's comments? You okay, Chair? All right. I want to thank all of you for being here today and for making this worthwhile meeting from the public point of view. I want to thank the representatives of the Auditor General's Department, the Permanent Secretary, and the other members of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, the Chairman and the members of the board who are present, and the CEO, and other officials from NAMDEVCO, the National Agricultural Marketing and Development Corporation, and members of the media for attending here today, and we hope that you disseminate this information to the public via the media. I want to say that, you know, I think there's a general feeling in the citizenry, and there's a general thrust in terms of government pronouncements that agriculture is important. And I think the ultimate objective in agriculture is to produce as much as we can of the things that we can produce, to reduce the import bill as significantly as we can, and to produce more in order to export and bring in some foreign exchange, so that we not only address the foreign exchange issue and the import substitution issue and the reduction of imports into the country, but that we actually are a viable agriculturally producing nation. Most countries that are successful, I mean, start by taking the position that we must try and feed as much as, must try and produce as much as we can to feed ourselves, and then we look after other things. And given the information that we have about the farmers, the registration of farmers, the state of registration, the access to information by farmers, I find it a little troubling in the agricultural sector. We don't seem to have the information that is necessary to even know what we can do. And I find that kind of troubling. I think NAMDEVCO is okay with its 2,800 farmers and who are producing and linked to them and who they are supporting, and the 500 farmers who are using the markets. But I think in terms of knowing what the potential is for production, I think we are far away from what is possible. From the Ministry of Agriculture's point of view, we will send to us for the information on the registered farmers and so on, so that we can have an idea of what really is the state of the agricultural sector. How many people are producing on their own land, how many people are producing on state lands as registered farmers, and how many people are not connected to the system at all because of various problems in the agricultural sector. Unless we can deal with these problems, I don't see how we can go forward. And the second issue is the marketing role of the organization in terms of managing supply and demand, and doing that effectively without the database and the information on the ability to manage these things. Related to that is the ICT issue, where you actually have the system that can be populated with the data, but you don't have the resource issues, which you have indicated is also an issue with the accounts, which is why there is such tardiness and maybe problems as well. So we look to the rectification of some of these issues. I think you have to honestly speak to the Ministry of Agriculture and the Minister and tell him what are the resources are necessary for you to do your job. I don't see how you can do your job without personnel. I don't see how you could do your job without talent. I mean, talent beyond yourselves, because they are missing ingredients here. I don't see how you can do the marketing function effectively without marketing personnel. I know you yourself, Chairman, is a marketing person, and that is valuable to have as Chairman of the board. But I mean, at the end of the day, I am sure you have your own business to run, and this is not a full-time job for you. You are not an executive chairman, and you need to have people who can work and deal with that particular function. So I would mention those things as troubling for the organization. I hope that you'll get all your accounts up to date and that we can have all of them audited and certified by the Auditor General by the end of 2019, which would bring you up to 2018. And I think that would stand you in good stead. But we thank you very much for your, I thought that you were very forthright and straightforward in your engagement of the committee, and we thank you very much for that. Okay? Thank you very much. The meeting is now adjourned, of course.